welcome back to Rating the List, where we review, discuss, and reimagine popular movie lists objectively. We're your hosts. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Brad, and we are continuing on in our exploration of the top 10 best horror movies, and we are now on number 7, which is The Exorcist.
Yes, number 7, The Exorcist, released in 1973, directed by William Friedkin, starring Ellen Burstyn, Max von Sydow, and Linda Blair. I came up with a little synopsis of myself.
Oh, you did?
I did, so here we go. So our synopsis of this classic horror film is as follows. 12-year-old Regan is possessed by an entity, but it takes a while for her mom and doctors to realize it can't be solved by science. In comes the Catholic Church. A movie about doubts of faith and facing your own evils makes this a classic and surprisingly relatable horror film.
This movie still holds up.
It's so scary. It's so scary.
Probably the reason it works the most is they get an incredible performance out of Linda Blair. What is she? I think she's 12. 12
or 13 maybe?
Yeah, she's really, really young. But she really carries the movie with her performance. And like...
Somebody else is possessed.
Yeah.
Is that you, Evil? Okay, that's kind of freaky.
The crazy thing is, you know, Max von Sydow is 44 years old, and he's playing this guy who's much, much older. Mm-hmm. And the makeup is, like, perfect. But the funny thing is when you see him when he's actually the age of this character, he looks exactly
that age.
Like they aged him perfectly.
They really did.
It's so crazy.
I had some notes. I did a top 10 horror movie. I watched a bunch of horror movies and had some notes already on this movie. The story is brilliant. It's kind of like the movie that started the exorcism genre, basically. Very dark, very scary, very real. Not that I think this happens, but it feels very grounded.
It feels a lot more grounded than it probably should.
Yes, yeah. Another part of the story is Regan and her mother, their relationship, and how it's just really the two of them living together, and her mom trying to hold down this like acting career.
Yeah, she's I think, is she an actress or a filmmaker? I can't remember.
She's an actress, I think. And so she's in this movie, like filming this movie and trying to be there for her daughter, not knowing at all what's going on. She's taking her to the doctor. They're examining her. They're just like, here, give her some pills. And she's like, hey, this is not helping, you know? Yeah. And it's a very, very slow build, this story. It's a slow build. The big things that happen are towards the end of the movie, but it's a very slow build.
The actual exorcism doesn't happen until like probably 3/4, almost 80% of the way into the movie.
Correct.
The whole thing is the build up to this.
Yeah.
And, you know, the other interesting thing is you kind of got the older priest who is kind of on the outside, but he gets brought into this because...
Yeah, they bring in the big guns, right?
Well, they bring in someone who actually, like, there's part of there's a split in the church about whether exorcisms should be done.
Are they necessary?
Are they necessary? So there's this whole thing within still to this day in the Catholic Church, whether they should be done, whether they do anything at all. Mm-hmm. And the young priest is kind of dissuaded from doing this a little bit, and he brings in this older priest who clearly, he's like one of the few priests who's actually done one of these.
Yeah, before. And knows that it's legit, you know. Very classic scene of of this priest, Max von Sydow, getting out of the taxi and walking up to the house.
It's on
And
the
then
poster.
that's the first time you hear the music from the movie.
Right.
And it's really like, oh God, here we go. Here we go. They're gonna, you know, and it kind of is like a build up to the whole exorcism.
Yeah.
There's a lot of freaky shit that happens in this movie besides the last part.
Projectile vomiting.
Projectile vomiting, one thing. Two, there's flickers of evil. Yeah. Like there's a scene where the mom is walking somewhere and you see this like evil face come up.
Right.
And
well, what's his name? He sees it, remember, in his dream?
Yes. And then you see, then freaking Regan is like lobster crawling down the stairs, and her head turns around, and she's like, there's a lot of effed up shit going on, and I'm not really sure how her mom held it together, because I don't know if I would have been able to, because that was crazy. What else? Some of the makeup, though, some of the makeup does not hold up to me. Her makeup, Regan's makeup, doesn't really, like, it looks unreal to me.
Well, it's kind of supposed to, I think.
Yeah, I guess so, but it's a great movie. It's slow. It's a slow pace, because I think horror movies of this time were like that. We have another one on the list, the Halloween. Halloween is pretty slow pace, but it kind of pays off in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those movies are designed to, there's a lot of setup, so when it gets into it, you're in it.
Yeah, you're like, oh God, I hope she pulls through, you know?
And that's a big part, that's a big part of why I have a problem with a lot of horror movies. It's not, I could care less about being scared or whatever, I just don't care about the characters.
See, that's why I think that for you watching a modern day horror film, I think you would get that. Because there's a lot of character development in some of these horror movies now. I think for sure the disturbing films that are classified as horror are very deeply character driven. Like your Hereditary, those kind of films. And this movie, right? Like, I remember as a kid, like, I would never watch it. It's about the devil.
I don't think I saw this movie until I was an adult.
Yeah, same. I just watched it for the first time, like a year or two ago.
I think the first time I saw this was after I was working at the video store. I don't think I saw it before that. Horror is not a big thing in my house. Like, my dad is not a big horror guy. Neither of my sisters are big horror people. Like, it was more like sci-fi fantasy. That was more our thing. So I didn't watch a ton of horror movies to begin with.
Maybe that should be another list we do.
What's that?
Sci-fi.
We'll be there eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, so when I was a kid, like, it was too scary. It was way too scary for me. Like, I can't. It's got to do with the devil. I'm not into it. But as I got older, I'm like, okay, Jerry, you're in your 40s. Like, you can handle this movie now. Like, it's okay. And I watched, and it was really scary, but I was able to, like, process it and not be all freaked out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it just, in general, that helps with any of these kinds of movies is having the more kind of things you can bring to the table to understand it and dissect it. I think that helps. Yeah, and there's a couple of movies now. Like, I'm sure there's been instances where people think they're possessed, right? And they went through this whole thing. Whether or not they were, probably not. They're probably just like women going through issues. Or well, there's been that. There's also, I mean, the whole concept of it is really controversial because some people have died in the midst of doing this. So
yeah,
it's like,
yeah. So I get why the Catholic Church is like, you know.
And then, you know, you have people like me, I don't believe in any of this stuff.
Right,
so I don't think it works because I don't believe there's demonic possession because I don't believe there are demons, so. Yeah,
I don't think there are either. I think it's mostly people with mental health issues that maybe show that maybe, in some way, and so people...
You don't hear about it nearly as much, and I think that kind of goes hand in hand with the fact that
we're diagnosing mental illness more.
Mental illness is becoming a more mature science. We know more about it.
Right.
So, it's just like with any science, when you use, supernatural things to explain the world around you, that all kind of crumbles away the more that science can explain things.
Right. That's very true.
I think this is another case of that as well.
Right, but it's still scary shit.
It is.
When it's on film.
It is. It's a really good movie.
It is a very good movie. Very good movie. So that's our number 7. I think that's all we got to say.
Yeah.
If you have comments about this movie, if this movie scared the shit out of you, if you have some recommendations for me of movies you think I should watch, horror-based, I am totally open to it. If you would like to leave a comment, please do. Please like and subscribe to our channel so that you can see where, going down the road, we're going to have more different lists and stuff. So, we may even have a Christmas list coming up.
Yeah, I think we're going to do this again for Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Probably towards the end of November. We'll start it just like we did this one towards the end of September.
Yep. So if you would like to contact us directly, please contact us at ratingthelist@gmail.com. For now, I'm Jerry.
And I'm Brad.
And we're Rating the List, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.